everybody, it's Dave Isaacs with you, and today we're back to the Essential Song series with the promised part 2 on James Taylor's Carolina in My Mind. Now, I want to point something out. I have the tab linked below, but I've also linked a chord chart. One of the things that you want to keep in mind as you go on to learn new songs is that you want to be able to learn a song from a framework. That the way most people, even professionals, are learning songs is not by sitting down and reading a tab from beginning to end, first note, second note, third note, fourth note, but by taking in the framework of the chords and then learning the parts either off a tab or by ear, probably with a combination of both, really. I mean, you can't really use tab effectively without also listening and hearing what's going on. So I've included a chord chart which just gives you the basic map of the song. And so this is the information you expect to get from that. It's going to tell you the time signature, and I'm not writing even 2/4, I'm just writing in 2, meaning that every letter I use means a full 2-beat measure. So if you see D, G, E minor, A, then we're counting that 1, 2, 1, 2, like that. Now, also, if we have more than one chord in the measure, I'm borrowing a Nashville convention for this. In Nashville, they call it a split bar. And you'll either have an underline or parentheses, I'm using underlines, under chords that have and you're using either an underline or parentheses, I'm using parentheses, and you'll sometimes have hash marks in there to indicate the beats as well. But you'll have the parentheses or the underline around whatever chords belong to that single measure. So in this case, if we have something like 1, 2, 1, 2, then you would have parentheses around D, A/C sharp, which is one measure, 2 chords, and then around B minor, A. Basically, though, you play the chord that it says to play, and you stay on it as many beats as it says to stay on. One letter is 2 counts. Parentheses around one of each means 1 count each. Really good thing about a chart like this is that it doesn't give you the sequential, I'm looking at this note, I'm looking at this note, I'm looking at this note. It gives you a sequence through the map, the bigger picture of the song. Not specifically what notes are you playing in the part, but what chords are you playing through. It might give you a strum, it might give you a basic pick pattern or something like that, but it is still meant to be somewhat of a general overview that shows you the sections of the song and the chords that belong to each one. It's a lot easier to follow a chord chart than it is to follow, say, a 5-page tab where you just have to read top to bottom, again and again. A chord chart will also have shorthand to help you jump from one section to another if you need to, but basically it'll outline first section, intro, marked as intro, marked as verse, marked as chorus, whatever it happens to be. In the case of Carolina in My Mind, we start with an intro and then go directly to the chorus. From there, we have 2 verses, a chorus, another verse, a chorus, a bridge, and back to the final chorus and an outro. Wait a minute. With Carolina, the form's a little different. We have an intro, the chorus first, a double verse, so 2 verses, another chorus, a single verse, the bridge, and then returning to the final chorus, and a tag which repeats the last line of the chorus, basically. So what I'm going to do is play through what I went over in video 1, lesson 1, not giving the lesson on it, but just playing it. And then when we come to the verse and the bridge, I'm basically just going to borrow the picking pattern that I was using in the chorus, and we'll make little tweaks. But what I want you to get from this lesson is the chord structure and the way that I'm varying that same picking pattern, plus adding in some of the fills that he uses. And I'm not tabbing all of this particular lesson exactly as I play it. It is in the first tab. The original tab was from that first lesson. There's some parts that are missing, and I'll address that in this lesson. But try to get the general picture working from the chord chart. Just choose a pattern and then modify it to fit each chord. In any case, here's where we started with the intro. I am capoed at the 2nd fret, which is where James Taylor is capoed on the original recording of the song. If you watch video of him playing it over the years, sometimes he's capoed at the 2nd fret, sometimes at the 3rd. If I were singing it, I probably wouldn't be capoed at all. My voice is lower than his. Doesn't change the chord symbol, because when you're capoed, you're still thinking as if, when I'm holding a D chord, that I'm playing a D. We just know intellectually, or if I'm dealing with other musicians that are not capoed, that what's coming out is an E. So here's the intro. Into the chorus. Basically repeating pattern with fills. Boom, ba, 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 happens a lot. A descent. This is an arrangement that I made. This is not exactly what he plays, but he changes it all the time. Now, the verse is basically just going to follow bum, ba, ba, bum, which is the rhythmic pattern I used in the chorus. 1 and a 2 and. So it's going to be some variation on that, and then I will include some of the fills. That is detailed in the tab and in lesson 1, but I will say this is an A formation, releasing the 2nd string note so I can play sus2 and hammer into the A chord. Keep in mind there are different ways to finger this chord. James Taylor plays A like this, which is unusual. Unlikely that a teacher would ever teach that, but obviously it works just fine for him. And for me, I like this fingering because my fingers fit more naturally than if I were to try to do index, middle, ring. And I can make a case for this because of the strength of the hammer-on when I use my index. But it's so unfamiliar to me that it's just not worth rearranging my brain to get it, because I can still get a strong hammer-on with my pinky. And I'm just playing 5, 4, this is 2 and 1. So 5, 5, 4, 2 and 1 with middle ring of the right hand, hammer, index gets string 3, open B again with the E, high strings, 3rd and back. That's the basic idea. There are variations on when and how this figure happens, like on the D. Pull off first, then hammer, as opposed to hammer first. But that's the gist of it. So here's the verse. Notice bum, ba, ba, bum, which will sometimes break down to just 8th notes. In fact, I'm going to start like that, and you'll notice when I choose to fill it in. On the verse, D, C, G, A, B minor, G, A, fill, G, D, split bar, B minor, E minor, E minor 7, A, B minor, E minor, A. Little variations on that. Now I'll play another verse and play it slightly differently again. Slightly different lick. Thumb, thumb, index, and a pull off. And then E minor 7 is just adding the pinky on the 2nd string at the 3rd fret, A or A7, and then threw in the hammer on because we could. Just pluck it. Sorry, E minor, A. This is the same lick that ends the chorus. Now, we'd have another chorus, another verse, and then the bridge. Basically, same idea. I'm going back and forth between using 1 and 2 and 1 and a 2 and, just always starting with a doubled up thumb stroke. So, bridge. This one, there's a little 1, 2, F sharp minor, E minor. There's a little passing bass note that works nicely. Here's another one that works nicely, going to C, G over B. You might be familiar with this. I like this fingering of middle on the 5th string, 2nd fret, and pinky on the 2nd string, 3rd fret, to a D. One of those hammer-on licks, and then C, G over B, E minor, A, and then you should be aware that every single section ends with the same figure. The D minor, B minor, E minor, A. So you could use the figure that we used in the chorus, keeping in mind that this is my arrangement. I'm not copying this exactly from what he did, or some variation on that. This is the whole idea, that you want to learn how to take a pattern and plug it into a framework. And maybe this is somewhat of a complex song because it has so many chords and so many sections, but you could also argue that it's just rich and that you could have several different patterns. You could assign one pattern to the chorus, one to the verse, and one to the bridge, so that you can practice different sections. Last thing I want to keep in mind is the tag. So we hit that final chorus. This figure again. Go to Carolina, E minor, A or A7, and then we're going to repeat that. So however you were playing that figure, whether it was this in the chorus, you could keep playing that. Just switch over in the tag to an E minor, which I'm pretty sure is right. Say nice things about me. Well, E minor sounds right to me. I hate when I get to the end of a song like this and realize there's a detail that I missed. But, you know, this is the whole thing. Learning a song is a process. I can sit down and do a lesson like this and then work on the same song with a student a month later and hear something else I hadn't heard before. So my version of how I teach and how I play a song, you might think, well, shouldn't it just be the right thing from the beginning? Sometimes it is the exact thing from the beginning. Sometimes you're starting with that general framework of here's the basic chords. And then it goes from that to, well, it's something like this, and I know I said some of that in this video. Or it can be, it's exactly this. And the thing that you need to keep in mind is if you've been learning, quote, it's exactly this all the time, but you still can't perform the songs, like you couldn't get on a stage tomorrow and play it, either singing the song yourself or backing up somebody else, then you don't know the song, because you're lacking the bigger framework that you get from this approach. And ultimately what we want is to do both things. We want to be able to get the big framework from the chart and then to plug in the specific information that we've gathered from listening, and if it's from being shown or reading something, however you got it. But it's seeing this piece of information goes here. So, as I was saying, you can just repeat if you want. The simplest thing would just be D, A, B minor, A, G, D, E minor, A. But it sounds so much better with the bass line. Now what I'm doing here is a little bit more of a folk pick, but just D, alternating thumb. And just reaching over to this bass note. Does it really matter if I rearrange to a complete inverted chord here? It sounds good. But if you find that awkward and this is easier, or I don't object, neither should you, neither would James. But look at this nice thumb. Here's the D, just reaching up here with that little finger and then going to this nice B minor 7. Index on 5, fret 2, middle on 3, fret 2, ring or pinky on 2, fret 3, and then we can just grab this chord, which is much simple and cleaner than a full B minor, and then just hit the bass. That's all we really need. G, inverted D. 6, fret 2, 3, fret 2, get the 2 open strings in the middle. If you want to add string 2, fret 3, this D over here with the pinky, then do, or use ring, that's okay too. And this A minor 7 is nice, and we had this in the chorus a whole bunch already. Index, string 4, fret 2, the E, ring, string 2, fret 3, the D, string 6, bass. So this is a nice So I'm just going to apologize to those of you who were looking for the tab to be exact, but you know, it's actually really important for you to be able to put some of that information together for yourself. I think I've given you enough framework that you should be able to come up with a working arrangement of the song. And let's face it, that is your goal. Unless you're doing a James Taylor tribute act where you're being paid to look and sound exactly like him, and he does it differently every time he does it anyway, then you should be looking at taking what you can from the song to play it the way you can play it now. And as long as you keep thinking this way, what can I do today? What can I do better tomorrow? You will not get stuck. You will continue to improve. This is how we get better. Because through this arranging process, we really learn about what we can and can't do, and we also stretch in the process of trying to reach something we might have thought of or discovered. I'm Dave Isaacs. Thank you so much for watching. If you're on YouTube watching this, please make sure you subscribe to this channel. And if you're watching on Facebook, please like Nashville Guitar Guru. I appreciate all the attention, all the views. The YouTube channel is at almost 18,000 subscribers, and it's kind of amazing. So thank you. See you next time.